Yesterday we covered 3 topics. We established that a person is a soul that lives individually, should not identify oneself with a certain nationality, and that soul currently lives in a particular country. If a person forgets about the most important thing, that they must take care of their inner state, then they fall into stress. Life becomes difficult and hard for them. Today we had a meeting with journalists on television. We discussed the topic that many people live in a state of stress. The reason, as it turned out, is that the wrong goals have been set in life. We focus more on getting a better apartment, a higher salary. We invest into studying. We put all our energy into ensuring that everything goes well in our life. But energy cannot be divided. We put our energy into one thing, and somewhere else it runs short. That's where relationships start to suffer, right? We start treating our wives, husbands, and children worse. There's no time to communicate with them. And so, a person gradually loses their relationships, you see? And we also came to the conclusion yesterday that we cannot overcome our fate on our own. We discussed what a person's inner world is. We found out that there is karma within ourselves, which comes to the light, and it acts independently of us. It creates the situation we live in, right? Everything that happens to us happens according to fate. If a person believes that a loved one is to blame for their problems, then they are in degradation. It seems like it's the other way around. You may think, I'll explain to my close person right now how to treat me, and everything will be fine between us. It's a trap, because the more I explain, the worse things get. I explain, and it gets even worse. And for some reason, the other person doesn't understand what I want from them. Why doesn't a person understand? Because men and women have different natures. A woman, for example, has her own understanding of happiness, while a man has a completely different one. They are diametrically opposite. That is why people cannot understand each other. But the most important cause of the problem lies in the fact that we lack inner life, that we lack a pure perception of a person. Yesterday we talked about how the soul means the energy of love, that a person is actually very good inside. But we cannot understand this because karma conceals it, you see? We cannot see the true nature of a person because from within we radiate some kind of force that causes us to treat them poorly or causes them to treat us poorly. This is also our problem, not theirs. Yesterday we came to a very surprising conclusion that in fact, when a person makes their child the goal of their life, the child becomes an egoist because of it, since too much attention is focused on them. When we make a husband or wife our life's goal, the person close to us becomes an egoist because of it. The highest goal in life is a very serious concept. For example, I live for my children. I live for my children. My children are the purpose of my life, right? That means I am worshipping whom? My children. Look, let's say I'm a little child, right? And you are, for example, my mom, right? You worship me. What feeling will arise inside me? That I am almost a little God, right? What is the result? The result is that the child grows up to be selfish. Such a child cannot understand another person's pain because they are used to being the center of life. You see, the same applies if, for example, a husband is worshipped. He also becomes the center of life. And we came to the conclusion that the people close to us are meant to help us learn to fulfill our duty in life. You see, we immediately concluded that we should not make them the highest goal in life. You might then ask, so what is love then? Love does not mean enjoying another person. It does not mean to enjoy, it means to care for a person. These are fundamentally opposite things. You might ask, can one simultaneously take care and enjoy? Impossible. A person must choose one of two things, either to take care and enjoyment comes as a reward, or to seek enjoyment and force others to care for them. In this case, we are doing violence to the concept of caring. Or we choose to take care and enjoyment comes as a reward. Look, there are 2 options when I give a lecture. The first option, I want you all to love me. That's how I give a lecture. Dear friends, come on, love me, all of you. You're already disgusted, aren't you? I only said one word. You already feel uncomfortable, right? You want me to behave like a normal person during the lectures, right? What does that mean, to care? I must be of service to you, right? And that means it's normal, a normal life, when I'm of service to you, right? Now pay attention to this point. Normal life is when I'm of service to you. How would you put it in this case, in our relationship? I'm saying that a normal life is when I'm of benefit to you. From your point of view, how would you put it?
A normal life is when a person does something good for someone. That's right.
A normal life, from your point of view, is when you say, no, Dr. Torsunov, a normal life is when I'm of service to you. Now, how do we talk in a family? We say, yes, Dr. Torsunov, or yes, my dear, a normal life is when you care for me. I am saying that a normal life is when I care for you. And how does it turn out in a family? The wife says, yes, that's right, we will have a normal life when you care for me. So you see, a slight discrepancy arises. That means that we are certain that our loved ones should fulfill their obligations. When I talk about a man's duties, the women take notes. In practice, this means that the family relationship deteriorates. That's it. She comes home and tells him, you know what Dr. Torsunov said a husband should do. And she lists all the things he needs to do. The question is, for whom? And this makes him even angrier. When the duties of women are discussed, men eagerly take notes. One woman gave her husband my lectures on family relationships, thinking he would listen to the part about a husband's duties. But he listened to the part about a woman's duties. He said, good lectures, I like them. She was very happy. She really liked the idea that he had enjoyed it. And then he started monitoring her to see how she was following the instructions. And their life became even worse. It did not get better. It only got worse because she started living under pressure. So that's the formula. Yes, I agree that my close person should take care of me. You see, this formula worked, and we live by this formula. Not because we are bad people, but simply because there is one little thing that makes us live this way. And this is what we are going to talk about now. According to the Vedas, the purpose of human life is an examination. We talked about this yesterday, because we do not live for happiness. We live in order to pass our exams here. We are here to learn about life. Is it clear what we discussed yesterday? We already explained this yesterday. We explained it at length. And why do we learn? Because we lack this knowledge. We are born in degradation. Look at little children. If you give them something, they just grab it right away. They're so pure, so beautiful. What a wonderful person has been born. Their mother thinks so. Then she gives something and the child just grabs it. But when we try to take it back from them, they won't let go. The hand won't open back up, that's it. Somehow these two things don't go together. On one hand, children are pure and bright, yet on the other hand, for some reason, they won't give it back, won't let go. And if you take it away from them, they start to cry. Then the mother discovers that for some reason the child constantly demands attention. She steps away for just a little bit, and the child starts crying. She takes her attention away from them for just a moment, and even if some friend comes over to visit her, she happily talks with her friend, saying, I'm so glad you finally came to see me. The child starts screaming immediately because the child wants attention only for themselves. You see, even a small child is already exploiting love. The child wants nothing but to enjoy. And this reason, it lies deep within our very existence. That's what's sitting there, you see. This thing is called egoism. According to the ancient Vedic scriptures, selfishness is the greatest enemy of a person, because there is also a purified form of ego. Egoism means a sense of self-worth. So how does egotism manifest in a girl? Do you know how it manifests in a girl? Would you like me to tell you right now? When a girl looks at herself in the mirror and thinks, Lord, how beautiful I am, and I ended up with such a foolish husband. You see, this is how egotism works, the female kind. And what's more, she sincerely believes that she is beautiful, and the girl sincerely understands that she has so many good qualities. And this is proven, right? How does she talk? Very gently with everyone. She has a beautiful face and carries herself with great dignity. She can behave herself, unlike that slob, by the way, who is constantly doing something wrong. He can't even put his socks away, let alone talk about anything serious. There's always a mess around the house because of him. Do you agree with me? A woman notices everything. She sees everything. For example, she got married. Her perception is very refined, and she notices all of her husband's character flaws. And remembers everything well, by the way. She remembers everything well. And when he starts telling her where she's wrong, she starts rapidly listing all his faults one by one. And the most amazing thing is that the girl does this very sincerely. It seems to her that this is the right way to live. Just like that. But it's true that I'm beautiful, isn't it? That's true. I speak gently, don't I? That's true. I treat people gently and tactfully. Right? She can sense it well, for example, where there is filth, how one shouldn't behave, that this is filth. One shouldn't act this way, this is filth. This filth is in one's behavior. She can sense the filth in the home. She cleans everything and thinks he really falls short in this regard. Because on one hand, all of this is true, right? But on the other hand, you see, this truth creates a conflict situation. For example, she's very beautiful. Imagine her husband didn't notice this. What happens? She thinks, I gave my beauty to this fool. He doesn't appreciate my beauty at all. He looks at me and doesn't understand. I am so beautiful, so wonderful, with such delicate features. He can't even say to me, my darling, you are the most beautiful woman in the world. Yes, he can't say it at all. Stupid. Am I saying something wrong, ladies? Is all of that right? And it all seems right. Yes, it all seems right. But on the other hand, not quite. But do you know from which angle it's not quite right? That's a difficult question, my dears. A difficult question. The point is that a girl's beauty is not given to her so that she can be proud of it. It is meant to be used in family. It is meant to create relationships within the family, so that everyone could experience love. So girls, what do you want most in life? Love. Everyone wants happiness, but for women this is a specific matter. It's called love or relationships. And she wants relationships, love. Is that what a girl wants most of all? So you see, she wants a relationship, right? But according to the Vedas, this is her duty. Can you imagine? In the family, in the home, a woman creates everything with her subtle energy. The atmosphere in the home, the vibe and the mood, all of which exist there, are of a feminine nature, and it is her duty to maintain this atmosphere. You see, on one hand, a woman wants to be loved, but a man, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the energy of love. He needs this energy. He thinks that his wife will help him with this, but his wife herself wants to be loved. You see, this is a contradiction. What does selfishness do? Selfishness misuses the very same energy that brings happiness. For example, if a woman has no ego, that is, she has overcome it, defeated it, how does she live? She simply learns to give love. She says, my dear, you've come home tired from work. She acts out of a sense of care, right? She knows. And then he reflects that love back. He receives it and he becomes softer, relaxes at home. Or is that not right? Am I saying something wrong? You see how hard it is to live like that. For example, a woman might say, Dr. Torsunov, if you were a woman, you would understand what it's like when your husband comes home from work with a stony face. He doesn't love me at all, doesn't see me, doesn't notice me, doesn't appreciate me. I cooked for him, he ate, and didn't even say thank you. And what is one to do about it? Love is reciprocal, isn't it? You did something with love. A response is needed. A response is needed. Ladies, am I right or not? And when there is no response, you lose heart. Right? There's no strength left to take care. And you know, in reality, we are all ungrateful beings. We are ungrateful. Neither men nor women are grateful. Women's ingratitude manifests in its own way, and men's in their own way. And we are completely unaware of our own ingratitude. For example, let me ask you a question. How does a woman's ingratitude manifest itself? How does a woman show ingratitude toward her husband? List the ways in which a woman's ingratitude manifests itself.
She devalues the result.
She devalues the results of her husband's work, right? He works and she thinks, so what? Everyone works. That's right. You just mentioned that. You can choose not to devalue his efforts, but to appreciate them.
I'm learning.
Now here's an interesting point. We often understand that a woman devalues the result. Everyone works. Why are you showing off about your salary? Some women even think that's exactly what they should say, and that it's the right way to think. That he's showing off with his salary, right? You see, there is no gratitude. No gratitude. A person worked and brought money home. It's nothing, it's okay. You can hear the pain in those words, the pain. You've already experienced this. And on the other hand, women often understand this. But to change this, hard work is needed. That means that a woman needs to make enormous efforts to be grateful for the fact that he brings home money. What is the next way a woman can show gratitude? Respect for her husband? This needs to be made more specific. What does respect for one's husband mean? To put him first? And what does it mean to put him first? Should we let him into the elevator first? Into the dark entryway first, right?
Entering the building entrance first.
That's fine. But what does it mean to put him first? What? To consider him the best? These are just words. How does this manifest in practice?
Feed him first.
Feeding him first is better. That's closer to the point. Because in reality, who is the first one to eat in the house? The cat eats first. Who do we feed second? The child. Who eats third? Wife. The fourth? The man eats whatever's left, right? It turns out it should be the other way around. But that's still not the most important thing. You see, you cannot say the most important thing because it is the hardest. What does that mean? What?
To agree with him, she must be obedient to him.
You see, it just slipped out of him, slipped right out. And what did he just blurt out? Look, it slipped out of him. He said, she must be obedient to me. That's exactly what we were talking about just now. You see how the system works, right? It would have seemed more appropriate to say, I am actually more at fault here. It is I who should give her more and care for her more. But you say, no, she should be obedient, right? That is exactly how selfishness works. There it is, you see? The system worked. It worked, didn't it? Ladies, what comes next will be very difficult indeed. You see, this is the hardest thing in life. Showing true respect for a man requires extraordinary efforts. Brace yourselves, this will be very hard to hear. A man most fully expresses himself in life through assertion. A man is woven from the rules he affirms in his life. His rules are the main part of his fate. That means that his rules are the foundation of his life. What he considers right is the main part of his understanding of things. And most importantly, his ambitions and his sense of self as a person are found precisely in his rules. A husband's rules are the most painful part of life for a woman. They are what torments her the most. And when a man starts lecturing his wife, do you know what a woman needs to do? Imagine your husband is lecturing you right now. Can you picture that? And you need to do it just like this. Yes, my dear. Go ahead and try it. What are you waiting for? Yes, my dear. What's the matter? Can't you bring yourself to do it? Can't you do it? Try it with all your might. Really make an effort. You see, selfishness is a terrible thing, and it actually ruins lives. In reality, a man doesn't really need these rules at all. He needs to be agreed with because, let's say, the husband says, tomorrow we're getting up at 5 a.m. You need to say, yes, my dear. Yes, my dear. And then when morning comes, what is the most important place in the apartment for a woman? The bed. You don't think so? A woman feels best of all in bed. When she is in bed, she feels great. The bed is her favorite place. And the night, this is feminine energy. Night. This is the woman's time. Remember, night is a woman's time. And when a woman goes to bed, her mind relaxes and she feels good in bed. And daytime is a man's time. It is easier for a man to get out of bed. He gets out of bed and says, you promised to get up at 5 a.m. You should also humbly look at him, open your eyes, and just as humbly say, I promised, that's true. What do you think the result will be? He will say, keep sleeping, my dear. Do you know why? Because a man will never torment a woman if she agrees with everything, even if she does the opposite. You see? Harmony comes immediately. Harmony sets in. You see, when we act without selfishness, the compatibility between a man and a woman is perfect. When people care for each other, the compatibility is perfect. There are no compatibility issues. But when they do the opposite, they don't trust each other. A man simply doesn't believe that a woman is even capable of doing something like that in principle. He fundamentally doesn't believe that she is capable of saying, yes, my dear. When she agrees with him, he is completely ready to let her live however she wants, as long as she agrees. Ladies, do any of you not believe this? Raise your hand. You don't believe it? Here's some statistics for you. There are many married men sitting here right now. Now let's take a poll. Raise your hand, married men. Listen carefully to the task. Look, the first option, your wife will always agree with you on everything, agree with you in everything. Very humbly, but will often fail to fulfill her obligations. She will often fail to follow through on what she promised, but she will always agree. The second option is a woman who never agrees, but sometimes does what you ask. So you remember the two options. The first option, she always agrees, but sometimes doesn't follow through, or often doesn't follow through, but always agrees. Raise your hand if you want such a wife. And who wants a wife who always disagrees, but sometimes does what you ask? Raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand at all.
And what about the third option?
There is no third option.
There's third option.
Who has third option? Who has it?
Me?
Raise your hand. Who said that? Are you married?
Yes.
For how long?
3 years.
And is your wife truly ideal for you?
For me, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
He proved it and said, I have a good wife. She always agrees and keeps all her promises.
I didn't say that. There is a third option.
What's the third option? Go ahead, tell us.
You say she either always agrees or always disagrees.
So what's the third option?
She may agree or she may not agree. It wouldn't hurt to discuss certain things.
Excellent. You just said something very important. We need to discuss it. You said a great thing, thank you. We haven't gotten to that yet. We are not talking about intelligence or discussion right now. That is the activity of intelligence. We are simply talking about a person's reaction, about their selfishness. I agree with you that sometimes a wife agrees and sometimes she doesn't. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. Do you know what I'm talking about? About the principle. About the principle. There is a principle within women to resist a man's opinion. Does your wife have such a feeling inside? She resists what you are saying. Or not? Is she here? No? Then what are we talking about? Is there a man here in the audience whose wife is sitting next to him? Is there? Where is your wife? Let's discuss this topic together. Does it happen that your wife simply resists your opinion or not? What do you think?
It never happens.
And what do you think?
It happens.
It happens, I'm afraid.
And do you know why you don't remember? Do you know why you don't remember? Because a man's psyche is tough. It is very difficult to understand how a woman reacts. For example, you said something to her and she seems to agree. But inside, she doesn't. It is very difficult for her to accept the way a man's mind works. Do you know why? I will now explain the reason to you. This world is deliberately made in such a way that you could overcome your ego. A man has knowledge right here in the center. We have 3 centers of intelligence. One is located here, another is located here, and the third is located in the groin area. This center of intelligence is responsible for knowledge. The soul has 3 energies: knowledge, love, and eternity. Eternity. Here is where knowledge resides, here is where love resides, and here is where the realm of eternity resides, in the groin area. Fear is located precisely in this place. A person is born as a man in a male body because he strives for knowledge, for the acquisition of knowledge. A woman is born for love, a man for knowledge, and both men and women live for eternity. Everyone wants to live, no one wants to die. A man has very strong pressure in his psyche right here. It presses right in that spot. And a woman has an energy void here. Now listen to me carefully. When a man starts telling his wife about his knowledge, how does he do it? He presses with knowledge, pushes, because there is strength inside right here. And what happens to his wife at this time? Her mind becomes extremely tense, and sometimes she cannot even say anything. She becomes very tense, and it is very hard for her to listen to all of this. Do you agree with me? You see, there's a mismatch. A man tends to apply psychological pressure and lecture his wife. And it is very hard for the wife to listen to this. She suffers terribly because of it. Now look, there's another option. Ladies, do you understand what I'm talking about? What I'm about to say now, not all women will understand. Which of the men did not understand what I just said? Raise your hand. Who never pressures anyone? Everyone understood. Good. You might not have understood because it's not always clear that you're putting pressure on someone, you see? It's not always clear. Now look, a woman has an enormous power right here. This is where a woman's strength resides, the energy of emotions. And a man has a void here. When a woman says emotionally to her husband, "Let's discuss this matter," very emotionally, the man says, "Listen, not now." Does this sound familiar? She says, "No, I want to discuss this." She pressures him with her emotions. He says, "What are you getting so worked up about?" And a fight breaks out. And what does a fight mean? He hits her with his intellect, she hits him with her emotions. And both are striking at each other's weak spots. And the energy of this psychosis spirals out of control. And people lose control of themselves. They smash dishes. They yell at each other. Does this sound familiar? Do you see why all of this happens? Because egoism is at work, it torments our lives. We suffer because of it. Egoism is the original state of the soul. In life, in the material world, right there where we live. This soul is born here with this ego from the very beginning. It is not the soul's original state entirely. Originally, the soul has the right kind of ego, the true ego. This ego, the one a person is born with, is called false. False means it gives no happiness, no love, none of the good things in life. According to the Vedas, egoism is such a dangerous thing. A person neither knows nor sees it within themselves. Only someone who has knowledge on this matter can tell us that I have ego and how it manifests. And that is why every person in life needs a mentor. Every person. Because a person does not know how their ego manifests itself. A woman does not know her own female ego. She believes that she is doing everything right. A man does not know his own male ego. This is a great mystery, a great mystery. For example, a woman says everything in the family is for the child. We live for the child, she says. It's not a given that a family should live for the child. Ladies, I shocked you a little, didn't I? This is simply a manifestation of female ego, which tells a woman it is the highest truth that one must live for one's child. No, that is not the highest truth. The highest truth is that a person must live for holiness. A person must live for holy people. If we live for the child will become an even bigger egoist. We must engage children in service to something pure. We should not live for them. And the man submits to the woman in the family. He says, yes, we live for the child. Once I visited a friend of my mother's. I was a little boy, I was 12 years old. I came to my mom's friend's place, and she said one phrase to me that I remembered for the rest of my life. Because I had a philosophical mindset. I was always trying to understand what was going on. And when she gave me the little apple, when I arrived, she said, "Eat the apple, boy, my good boy. Eat the apple, or else the husband will come and it will go to waste. The husband will come and the apple will be gone." This means that, in fact, women tend to love their children more than their husbands. And who works more, who gives more strength to a woman? The child? No. The husband gives the most to his wife. What does he get in return? He gets what's left of the apple. The child receives the most love from a woman. A woman's love for her husband is very selfish by nature. She smiles at him in order to get something from him.
Men at this stage of development are not ready to accept a woman's care for them.
How so? What does it look like in practice?
She responds to him, "Yes, my dear. Yes, my dear.
So,
We'll do it your way. You said it would be this way, so it will be this way, just as you said. You are the man of our family. Men are not ready for this."
and?
They start to relax and get out of hand, because there is no stick, no scandal, no resistance.
Wait, let me understand this formula. I don't understand. Please, go on.
From my own experience. What you were saying, I, for example, lived through that about 10 years ago when I had an ideal relationship with a man. He himself was amazed that there hadn't been a single argument in 10 years.
I see.
And as a result, he left for a place where there are scandals.
He didn't want to live where there was love.
He didn't want it. A man is not ready for this.
Good.
A man in his consciousness is simply not ready for this. He left for a place where there are scandals.
Yes. Do you know why?
Why?
It lies in the fact that a person's love consists of two sides of a coin. True love has two sides. A man needs to be praised and he needs to be cared for. This is one side of the medal of love, care. But there is also a second one which creates a genuine relationship, a relationship of respect. Do you know what the second medal is, what the other side is?
To understand.
No. Understanding is the result. Discipline. You need to discipline your husband, my dears. You need to discipline him. You shouldn't just agree with him all the time. Sometimes you need to come up to him and say, my dear, I love you very much even when you come home dead drunk.
Even at 4 a.m. with a beaten-up face.
Yes, even with a beaten-up face, I love you even like this. But the neighbor said that you look like a pig at that time. You know, her words didn't quite sit right with me. Of course, I understand that you are not really a pig, and I love you. But when the neighbor said that you look like a pig, it made me feel uneasy. Maybe you could try to drink a little less?
He'll say don't listen to those neighbors.
It's okay. He may tell you not to listen to the neighbors. There can be other words. But discipline doesn't mean just one word or one phrase. There is one more aspect that you have not yet implemented. Look, the first thing at words spoken with love, words that do not hurt but are truthful. They don't hurt, but they are the truth. I just said it in a way that wouldn't hurt, but it's still the truth. And there is a second aspect which is harder to achieve. This is when a person has become insolent. Becoming insolent, that is what you just described. When a person has become insolent, a woman must continue to fulfill all her duties toward him, but from a respectful distance. She should not sleep with him during this time, nor engage in close conversation with him. She should respect him, but from a distance, showing that she will not build a close relationship in this situation. If you had done that, he would not have left.
My husband left. He had a relationship with another woman for 6 years.
Your situation is completely different, you see? You wore him out. I had a case like that. One woman told me, I started distancing myself from my husband as you advised, but it's not working. I went to my mother's place to put more distance between myself and my husband. The husband had also been listening to my lectures. And she called him and said, so how are you doing? He said, thank you for distancing yourself from me. I feel so much better now. I'm finally getting some rest. The man started to relax. She simply wore him out. And she decided to distance herself even more. Thank God he felt better. He said, give me a couple more weeks of distance. At least I'll be able to recover mentally. You see, it is implied that the first medal is love. That means that first you need to care for your husband and agree with him. Did you do it this way? You know, I don't believe that if a woman does everything right and cares for her husband properly, he can leave. That's impossible. It is such a magnetic force that a man cannot leave. He may want to, of course. He wants to, but he can't. You see, you think you are a good person. What do you mean, no?
You were right, I wore him out.
So you wore him out, then what are we talking about now? You had no love. Love means to take care. A woman must care for her husband in 2 ways. The first way, it requires efforts to care for someone without wanting anything in return. The second way is to guide. This also requires an effort, an even greater effort. The ability to guide with love and kindness comes from a woman's strong heart. A weak heart cannot do this. It either guides him in despair or simply stays silent. That is a woman's weak heart. And what does a woman with a strong heart do? She guides a man with love. And yesterday we said there is only one way to have a strong heart in life, only one way. It means giving all your strength and desire to the person who gives you the opportunity to love, because the energy of love is the most essential energy for a person. Selfless love, that is, the most essential energy, and it is rarely accessible in life, because there is never enough of it. Both men and women are all driven by selfishness. This selfishness is constantly destructive. Just now the women were complaining that men are bad. You showed with your heart that they are selfish. You, my dear women, are just as selfish as we are. There is no difference whatsoever. You simply don't know it. It is a great secret for a woman that she is exactly the same egoist as a man. Exactly the same, only very beautiful. A woman is just as much of an egoist, only very beautiful.
How should a man care for a woman?
A lady is asking how a man should care for a woman. You see how egoism works. Egoism is an unstoppable force, completely unstoppable. Ladies, cover your ears. I'm about to tell you how a man should care for a woman. Don't listen, don't listen.
Could you please tell me, Does what you're saying apply only to relationships between a man and a woman?
You know, right now I'm actually exploring the topic of selfishness. My goal is to explain that this thing exists, and once we understand it, we will move forward. Right now we are examining this aspect of our lives because selfishness exists everywhere. It exists in the relationships between a boss and a subordinate, everywhere. This world is permeated by this force. We simply don't recognize it within ourselves. This is a secret force hidden from sight. A man must care for his wife with great sensitivity and patience toward her emotions. A woman's psyche is constantly fluctuating. It never stays in one place. It moves, flowing in waves. Now she's in a good mood, then in a bad one, always in motion. And yet a man must endure this, even though in reality he is deeply psychologically affected by the atmosphere at home. Where does a man rest? At home. Where does a woman rest? At work. A man comes home and wants to relax mentally. This means first and foremost to relax mentally. But if a woman is in a bad mood, for example, then everyone at home is in a bad mood too. The cat, the children, everyone. If a woman's mood turns sour, the whole house is in a bad mood. If someone at home is not in the same mood, she will help with that. If the cat, for example, is not behaving in accordance with her mood, the woman will help it get into the same bad mood. But she doesn't do it on purpose, of course. She doesn't mean to, it just happens. The husband comes home from work, he is tired, he needs a good mood, but at home the atmosphere is miserable. He goes up to his wife and says, "What's wrong? What's the matter?" She says, "Am I bothering you?" We are now talking about a man's duties. A man comes home tired and his wife is in a bad mood. What should he do? You must endure all of this. Endure it, my dears. A truly courageous man is one who is ready to endure his wife's bad moods, which is very difficult. It is very difficult for a man. He comes home already feeling bad and exhausted, and on top of that, the mood at home is bad, and he still has to go up to her and say, "Everything will be all right, my dear." He is running on his last reserves of strength because he is exhausted from work, his management has worn him out, and his colleagues have insulted him. He came home, his wife is in a bad mood, and he must pull himself together with his last ounce of strength, go up to his wife and say, "My dear, everything is going to be all right." Even though she wasn't working, for example, she had been home all day. He has to tell her, "Everything will be all right." And what will she answer him? She will answer him, "Leave me alone," because she is in a bad mood. And he will begin to wish her happiness in his heart. This is a man's duty, to behave this way, to live this way. A man's duty is to respect his wife's mood, to care for it, whatever it may be, and not to disturb her. If she is feeling bad, keep your distance from her, don't touch her, let her rest. If she is in a good mood, then be closer to her and take care of her. If, for example, she lets you come close when she is feeling down, then you can be nearby and take care of her. This is very difficult. How are the women feeling right now? You're right, Dr. Torsunov, aren't you? Isn't that right? That's the feeling you have inside, yes? That's the feeling. And you know, this is extremely difficult for a man. Only a hero can behave this way. Only a man with a heroic spirit is capable of this. Do you know about this, ladies? No, you know nothing about this. You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We live in a world where a woman doesn't know the strength she needs to apply to herself in order to be well, simply to live well. The strength a man must summon within himself just so that she can simply live well. And a man does not know the strength that a woman must apply to herself so that he can simply live a normal life. There is only one question left. Where does one find the strength? Where does one find the strength? And the Vedas answer this question. They say that a person can draw strength only from the object of their worship. Whatever you worship, that is where your strength comes from. If you worship the house you are building, the strength will come from there. If you worship your car, the strength will come from it. If you worship God, the strength will come from Him. Do you feel the difference? You will say, all of this is nonsense. No one knows where God even is. But that is not so. God is here, right here. Yesterday a question was asked. The question was asked yesterday, who am I always talking to when I say that I want to get married? Who am I saying this to? Who am I saying this to? I want to get married. When a woman, a girl, for example, is not married and she says to herself, I want to get married, I want to get married. If there were no one there, she would remain silent. People cannot talk to themselves. We're always talking to someone. We're collective beings, you see. We address the voice of conscience, what the Vedas call the supersoul, the voice of conscience, the voice of truth within the heart. We communicate with it. This is the representation of God within us, right here in the heart, the representation of God, you see? And He is the witness of our entire life, of all our actions. Why does a person develop a conscience? Because one begins to feel this through the witness within. What does conscience mean? For example, I am walking down the street. I feel that someone is watching my behavior. Who is watching my behavior? The Lord from within the heart, right here. What does a shameless person think? A person stole something and thinks no one noticed. A person with a conscience steals something and thinks something feels off, something about what I did doesn't sit right. So someone noticed, right? There is someone right here, right here. And according to the Vedas, this someone gives us happiness, gives happiness to people. Where does happiness come from? Who knows where happiness comes from? What do some people think? Where does it come from? From somewhere below, yes, they think it comes from below. But happiness comes from right here, right here. As one song says, heart, you do not seek peace. Oh heart, how wonderful it is to be alive. Heart, how wonderful that you are the way you are. Thank you, heart, for knowing how to love like this. This heart, this is the Lord within the heart. It is not our heart that knows how to love. It is the Lord who gives love to people in their hearts. He gives the feeling of love and happiness. He gives the feeling of happiness or suffering. And this happens in two ways. Sometimes fate simply ordains it. Happiness comes on its own. When it is destined, a person becomes happy and happiness emerges from within, due to the influence of time. The second option is when a person does the right things in life, when they do what needs to be done in life. It comes not through karma, not because it was destined, but simply because a person deserved it. They pass their test, and happiness comes into the heart, happiness from the Lord. What do you think is more important, happiness that comes on its own, or happiness that comes when you've passed an exam?
On its own.
Who thinks that the one that comes on its own is more important? Raise your hand.
It doesn't come on its own. It comes when you've earned it.
Who said it doesn't come on its own?
If it's real, that cannot be.
It doesn't come on its own?
When you deserve it.
When you deserve it? I am the cause of happiness, not God, but me.
No.
Then who? You are right, you are right. But we are talking about the present time now. In the present moment, it comes on its own from what I once deserved. I agree, we are talking about the present moment now. Either what I have deserved comes to me, or it comes when I, right now, in the present moment, have passed the test. You see? Do you understand what I'm saying? What is my point? Which happiness is more important? The one that comes from passing an exam right now, or from having passed an exam a long time ago?
Now.
Now. Look, what do we count on in life? What do we count on? When a girl thinks about who she will marry, what is she counting on? She expects that things will always be good between her and her husband. This means that she believes happiness should always flow from within her. But that is just an illusion. Look, we say to each other, good luck to you, may everything go well for you. We ask on the phone, hello, are you doing okay? Doing okay means happiness is coming from within. It means everything is fine. When happiness doesn't come from within, we say, no, something's wrong, I have problems. Now I have a question for you. What is the most important time in a person's life? When everything is fine or when problems arise?
When there are problems, that is the most important time.
When problems arise, it is the most important time. Because during this time, a person seeks knowledge about how to live. One does not want to live unhappily. One tries to break free from the trap and tries to find the solution, seeks knowledge of how to live. You see? A person seeks knowledge. And when everything is going well, does a person seek knowledge? No, everything is fine. Everything is fine, why worry? Dr. Torsunov, why worry if everything is fine?
Not always, Dr. Torsunov.
And when it's the other way?
You seek knowledge when things have finally gotten better.
You are right, you are right. This is already a different level of personal development. This means that you have come to firmly understand that one must live and pass life's tests, rather than just enjoying. You see, there are two ways to live. One option, a person lives in order to enjoy life. And the second option, a person lives in order to serve. How does a person live when they live in order to serve? Living well is not enough for such a person. It doesn't satisfy them. They want to understand the purpose of life. A person seeks, learns to live better and better, more righteously, serves life, serves their fate. Is that what you're talking about now?
Yes.
This is a higher level. We are talking about simple things right now. Most people simply live in a dream that everything will be fine. Most people are set up this way. They wait for things to get better, for their life to become easier. And this life is called by the Vedas a life in illusion. When people live in a dream of the future, they think about when life will become easier for them, when happiness will come into their lives. These people will never find happiness, never. They are deceived because a person should not wait for happiness in life. One must learn to serve one's fate. One must learn to serve. A person must create this happiness through their own efforts. It's even better not to think about it at all. It is better to simply serve. And the only question is whom to serve. Who should one serve? This is a very important question. When you serve your husband and make him the purpose of your life, life passes in emptiness. Why? Because he will never give back fully in return. We are selfish by nature. What do we do with happiness? We consume it, devour it, and nothing remains. I cooked a meal for my husband and he ate it. Nothing remained. No gratitude, no food, nothing. And what is left inside the woman? Emptiness, because no exchange of love took place. Therefore, according to the Vedas, one must simply fulfill one's duties toward those close to them. But for this, strength is needed. A person cannot simply keep doing things because if a loved one did not say thank you when you cooked for them, you already cannot cook for them the next day. You have no strength because human strength flows only from love, from the energy of love. And this means that strength must come from somewhere in order to live in this world filled with selfishness. And this strength comes when you serve someone who always gives back in return. You always serve the one from whom gratitude always comes back, always. And this can only be understood through a relationship with a person. Listen to me carefully. With a person who is qualified to serve such an object. When we serve a person who themselves serves, we adopt from them the experience of serving that object which gives back gratitude. Strength appears in the heart, and we can live for all our loved ones with calmness. And in these relationships, when you do everything, listen to me carefully, this is a very important moment. When I do everything for my husband without wanting to receive anything in return, I draw my strength from God, or more precisely from the holy person whom I worship in my heart, so that they may teach me to serve God. You see, I cannot serve God on my own. There is no understanding, but if you worship a person who understands, you automatically adopt their qualities. If we worship a child, we adopt qualities from them. We worship a dog, and from it we adopt its qualities. Whoever we worship in our hearts, whoever we serve in our hearts, from them we adopt character traits. We adopt character traits. Character can be adopted. When a person worships a holy person, in this case, they adopt their attitude of service. A holy person means selfless, the one who needs nothing in life, who only wants to serve everyone and care for everyone. But above all, a holy person wants to serve the one who gives happiness, because this is our original position. We cannot help but serve the one who gives happiness because we are in need of that happiness. We cannot live without happiness. Which of you is filled with happiness and needs nothing? Raise your hand. Well done. I am happy for you. And you, yes, completely full to the brim. You need nothing. Well done. And you will always remain in such a state, will you? You'll never die, will you? You will never get sick. If the oxygen is cut off, you will never suffocate. If food stops growing on the earth, you'll never die of hunger, right? You need nothing. Well done. I would also like to be in such a state of consciousness as you are. Maybe it's easier to live that way. But in reality, the fact is that we did not bring ourselves into this world. We breathe the air that was given to us. We perceive sunlight which does not belong to us, which is not our property. The food that grows is not something that I create. It grows for me from somewhere. I take it and eat it. I am here in complete need, in complete need. We are in need. We are beings in need. We are in a needy, subordinate position. That's what we are. And that is not a bad thing. Why? Because a tiny spark, look, the philosophy I'm about to share with you now is extremely difficult to understand. Try to understand. A tiny spark, when it loves the great whole, the enormous, enormous sun. We are comparing the soul to God, aren't we? God is an enormous sun, enormous, complete, whole. When a tiny spark loves the complete whole, and when the complete whole loves the tiny spark, who receives more love? The small spark, of course, without a doubt. So is that good or bad? It's wonderful. We need to understand this. We are in a good position. If we turn our face toward God, we turn toward God, but something inside us does not turn. There is this little thing inside that doesn't turn. It makes one constantly think about oneself. Not about God, but about oneself. This is called selfishness, a terrible enemy of human existence. A terrible enemy. When a person listens to holiness in their heart, they begin to have, I am now sharing my own experience. Please listen to me carefully. In a person's heart, a desire to love others and a desire to care for others arises because they serve the holy person in their heart. Such a person develops a desire to live. A certain type of melody begins to arise within. The melody of love. The melody of love means the melody of service. The music flows from within a person, either saddening or gladdening. Endless, kind, and wise music, a melody that makes you want to live. Such music flows making you want to live. This is the music of devotion to God. This music should resonate in the heart, and then it becomes easy. A woman becomes herself, and it is easy for her to care for her husband because she is fulfilled. When a woman is filled with this energy of love, she becomes a true woman and easily agrees to say, yes, he is good. She takes care of him in every way, and it is easy for her to correct him, for instance, when he does something wrong. She comes up to him and says, my dear silly fool, you really should be living the other way. And she smiles. Why is she able to do that? Because this energy flows from her, the ability flows from her, the ability to speak. If she is unhappy, she cannot say anything and she has no strength. But if she is filled with this energy, then she has the strength. Therefore, according to the Vedas, the relationship between husband and wife is not the most important thing in life. You see, according to the Vedas, a wise person, an intelligent person, directs their life toward more important things. Then the less important things come on their own. For example, a woman simply begins to fulfill her feminine duties toward everyone. She begins to care for everyone, starts saying kind words to everyone, begins making friends with everyone, starts forgiving everyone and asking for forgiveness. These are a woman's duties in this world. This is how a woman should conduct herself. And what happens to her? She simply fulfills her duties serving everyone. She is already acting like a soul, isn't she? She does not take for herself but gives. That means that the energy of love begins to flow through her. What happens to her when the energy of love flows through her? What happens to a woman when the energy of love flows through her? She becomes rosy-cheeked and beautiful. And what happens to the men at this time?
They are ready for anything.
You see, there's no need to stress about it. A woman thinks, when will I get married? When will I get married? When will I get married? Don't worry about it. That is how misers behave. That is how misers behave. Misers want little out of life. A wise person is not stingy. They want great things. One immediately starts thinking about God, praying to Him, and everything else follows naturally. A woman who has a relationship with the sun, for such a woman another small spark, meaning a husband, will be drawn to her on its own. There's no need to worry about that. If a woman serves God and thinks of Him, her children naturally become religious and conscientious. This happens on its own. There is no need to worry about it. There is only one thing to worry about. Who am I living for? If my husband is the purpose of my life, will he give love back to me or not? Two sparks together become fixated on each other. Do they actually ignite? Sparks can only ignite from the source of the sun. They cannot ignite each other. They fade out in one another. As one song says, I look at you as if into a mirror, as if into a reflection of myself. Let's see how long you'll keep singing that tune. Because this reflection of yourself can start throwing tantrums in 5 minutes. And then what will you do? A man believed in that girl, he believed in her. She is being capricious. Where will he get love from? There is nowhere to get it from. And a person cannot live without love. People cannot live without love. One song says, an hour without love is a wasted hour. We feel good, so good when we love, even if we are not loved. Why is it good when we love, even if we are not loved in return? Because love flows. The exchange of love happens with the one who always loves. When a person lives this way, they can truly love. The heart grows larger. It can truly love. This is an important topic. Try to understand it. So the first duty of a person is to serve the source of love. Everything else flows from this. If we haven't done this in the morning, we can no longer do anything for anyone. That's it. We are drained of energy. The batteries are drained and have no energy left to give to anyone. 8%. Have forgotten how to live. Look, what did people do 100 years ago before eating? Eating, what did they do? They prayed. What did they do when they got married? They prayed. What was placed during a celebration? An icon. What was kept in the best spot in the home? An icon, not a television. We all have a spiritual teacher with one eye. Everyone has such a teacher. We worship a spiritual teacher with one eye. We turn it on, and it starts feeding us all kinds of nonsense and drivel. We listen to it attentively. This is called television. And we worship it, we watch whatever it shows. There is nothing good shown there at all. A person must look into the mirror of their heart and establish communion with holiness, and then life will become so wonderful. A person will develop bright memories of all people and will think well of everyone. Why? Because when the Lord fills a person's heart, they find it easy to think well of everyone, because purity arises in their heart, and such a person finds it easy to live alongside everyone and thinks no ill of anyone. A person already thinks it's not my loved one who is to blame for our breakup, but me. It is my fault. And immediately it feels better, because the test has been passed, because we are always at fault in everything. This is our life. We live it for our own lessons, and our close ones live it for theirs. Let them decide who is to blame. That's their business. But I am at fault before my own fate. So let's continue developing the topic together. We will now move forward. So what is an incorrect attitude toward oneself? Let's study this now. We have studied what egoism is, right? And what is an incorrect attitude toward oneself? Listen to me carefully. This is a very subtle point. For example, I did something wrong. And I think, what a pig I am. Is that something one can do or not? Those who think the answer is no, raise your hand. And who thinks that it's acceptable? And that, my dears, is exactly the problem. True self-regard means that a person can blame themselves, can hold themselves accountable and say, yes, I am wrong. And what arises within a person at that moment? A feeling that it is right. A good attitude toward oneself, that's right, a good attitude toward oneself arises. One says, yes, I am a bad person. I am a bad person. And what arises at that moment? Relief. Relief. This is called true egoism, a manifestation of true egoism. A person must tell themselves that they are wrong. You see, what does modern psychology teach? How should one treat oneself? You are always right. I am the sun, I am the great bright sun, I am the great bright sun. In my childhood, I practiced autogenic training. I found a book by Larry and started meditating. I am a great bright sun. And I am telling you a real story from my life. I already feel like I am this great bright sun, but I sense that someone is getting in my way of being this great sun. I feel like someone is getting in my way. And at that moment, my mom comes up to me and says, sunshine, it's time for you to clean the apartment. My mom called me sunshine. That's exactly what she called me. But I'm not a little sunshine, I'm a big bright sun. And the great bright sun is not obligated to clean the apartment. It shines for everyone. Those who receive the energy of this little sun should be the ones cleaning the apartment, in theory. I opened my eyes like that. I was so radiant, all bright and glowing. She interrupted my shining. I said, Mom, you interrupted my shining. She said to me, no, my dear, I'm helping you shine. Go clean up. And I felt something was wrong. I had done something wrong, something not good. Only now do I realize that these methods and practices, which are currently very popular in psychology, are ones that modern psychology constantly promotes. The idea that you should always treat yourself very well in every situation in life. For example, you left your husband? No big deal. Good. One thinks, I'm fine, I'm fine. And what are we actually doing at that time? We silence our conscience. We force it to be silent. You see what I'm talking about? Scary, isn't it? If conscience has been silenced, what happens? Conscience is responsible for foreseeing misfortunes. It also tells you are sick, you need to get treatment. It will tell you where not to go because there is danger there. Conscience speaks of this. It foresees misfortune. Don't associate with this person, they will deceive you. That's what conscience tells you. Don't marry this girl, your conscience warns you. If we silence our conscience by constantly repeating, I am good, then we cannot understand what to do. We are in complete illusion. Do you understand this or not? What is true self-esteem? This means that I am a good person. That's true. Only if I have repented. I am a good person, that's true. But first I need to say to myself, what a pig you are for acting like that. And what should be done next? One must change for the better. That's when the right feeling arises within. That's right, that's how it should be. Yes, in fact, you are a good person. If you live the right way, one must strive to be good, but not through self-suggestion. You see, there is an interesting thing that exists within us, and yet we engage in this self-suggestion every single second of our lives. You know, I'm going to tell you something interesting right now, something you'll recognize in yourself as well. When that man sitting up there objected to what I said, do you know what appeared right here inside me? Who does he think he is, contradicting me? I know everything, and he knows nothing. Did you feel what I felt? Did you notice what came over me? You didn't feel it? Thank you, you're simply a good person, that's why you didn't feel it. I felt it. That's the thing we all have. We want to justify ourselves. Now here's a question. If I stop always justifying myself, will I become pathetic and miserable or not? That is the question. Would you like me to answer that? I won't. I will not. Because when a person constantly tells themselves the truth and wants to improve, a true sense of self-esteem arises within them. It means that one values oneself for such a life. You see, according to the Vedas, people simply cannot value themselves highly just like that. They cannot. They can only value themselves for living the right way. So when a person has done everything right in life, something inside them says, well done. Where does it come from? It comes from the conscience. From the conscience, it is the one that evaluates us. It tells us, well done. And how should we respond to this? How should we respond to this? We must answer, I want to serve you more. I want to do even more. Maybe you think I'm doing great, but I want to do even more. This is our true sense of self-esteem. I want to serve more, I want to serve more. You think I've done well, but I want to do even more. You see? And it is so good to live in such a state. But when a person constantly makes excuses for themselves, they say, I am good, my spouse is bad. I'm good, the children are bad. I'm good, everyone at work is bad. What does a person do in this case? Destroys their own life. If someone tells me I'm bad, my ego doesn't like it, I need to breathe a little and try to understand why they said that. I have to understand, and then happiness will triumph within. First a bitter taste comes, then a sweet one.
Unconditional love should only be given to others, but not to oneself.
Oh, my dear, how right you are in what you said. Unconditional love. We don't have this unconditional love. We are poor, we have no love. We only try to love. If you truly had love, you would always love. If I have something, for example, $5, I can give it away at any moment, right? You see, sometimes you can give love and sometimes you cannot. Why? Because sometimes it is given to you and sometimes it is not. Love doesn't belong to us. Therefore, in reality, we should not even think about the fact that we love. We simply serve, fill ourselves with this energy of love and give away what we have been given. This doesn't belong to us at all. I love everyone with unconditional love. Unconditional love does not belong to a person at all. Inside us there is ego. It immediately distorts all this love. It simply ceases to be unconditional. When the soul constantly serves God, at that time it naturally transmits this unconditional love to others without even being aware of it. But the moment the soul thinks, I am giving unconditional love to everyone, from that moment on the love ceased to be unconditional. It becomes befouled by egoism. Can you imagine how complex this is?
Just yesterday, when we were all wishing each other happiness, I experienced this thing. We started wishing. I wish everyone happiness. And there was no feeling at all, just some kind of nonsense. And then I imagined the image of a holy person, for example, John Favors, whom I consider worthy. And immediately I felt the energy flowing. So I am a conduit. It turns out this is not mine, not my energy. Did I understand right?
That's right, of course, that's right. John Favors is not just a worthy person. It's just the wrong word.
He's a person worthy of your respect.
No, this is not a person worthy of your respect. No.
No respect at all.
No, that is not so. John Favors is a person to whom one must dedicate their life. He is so pure. You cannot even imagine. I had interaction with this person. He is woven from such purity. When he passed away, he did so in such a state that everyone understood that this was holiness itself. Simply thinking about this person purifies one through knowledge. That is why you were able to complete this task. You did it because you directed your thoughts in the right way. And not only this person. There are many holy, sublime people who sincerely serve God. We must study such topics, study them. This is very important for us. So let's take a look. The right attitude toward oneself. The right attitude toward oneself. I want to be a worthy person, not I am a worthy person. It is not I who evaluates whether I am worthy or not. That is evaluated by one's conscience. I want to be a worthy person, and I will be a worthy person. I will serve my conscience until it recognizes me as worthy. But that is not enough. I do not need recognition. I will continue to serve. I want to serve. I don't even want this worthiness. I want to serve. When a person simply wants to live in a way that their conscience recognizes them as worthy, that is one level of life, and it is already a dignified existence. But if a person does not even pay attention to this recognition and continues to serve, needing no recognition, this is an even higher level of consciousness. And then the sense of self-esteem becomes great. Such a person becomes great. Who is a great person? The one who forgot about oneself? What does one look like? One looks like a great person. God fills them with strength. Or a person tries to fill themselves with strength and becomes the center of the universe, which is disgusting to look at. Or God fills a person with strength and one becomes great. But such a person does not want to be great. Such a person wants to be a humble servant at all times. But God fills them with strength. You see how wonderful that is? When a woman wants to get married, everyone gets in her way. When she starts caring for everyone, as a woman should, men line up one after another, all wanting to marry her. What does an incorrect attitude toward oneself do? It destroys one's entire life. It destroys life completely. If a person starts justifying themselves in life, that's it. It's all over for them. What does it mean to justify oneself? It means criticizing others. Our country is bad, the government is bad, there isn't enough food in the store. That's it, it's over. Your fate will be destroyed, that's it. Listen to me carefully. There is one such form of human life, it's called the old grumpy ladies. These old women, they sit on a bench. Once in Riga, I walked past a group of old women sitting on a bench. They sit on a bench. When I walked past them, I learned everything about myself, about my bald spot, my glasses, my long nose, about everything. I do this all the time.
No mirror needed.
No need for a mirror. They told me everything. As for me, everything was fine. I was okay. I learned everything about myself. The question is about them. That's not the problem. I already know that my nose isn't quite right, and there's plenty more besides. I've been told this more than once. I agree. That's not what I was talking about. I'm saying that it's terrible to live like that, because it destroys one's life. A person simply destroys their own life. There are two types of people. Look, there is one type of people. According to the Vedas, they are compared to bees. What do bees always fly toward? To honey, to nectar. Nectar means love. The bee flies and flies. What does it want? Only honey. It sees various objects around it. Yes, it sees different people. Some behave well, others do not. There is a president of the country. Maybe he behaves badly. There may be wrong policies in the country. But where does the bee fly? Does it search around, pondering about the country's president and misguided politics? Does it watch political news? Where does it fly? It flies only toward the nectar. It seeks only holiness. It flies only toward the nectar, finds the nectar, and collects it on its little legs. It doesn't take it into its own mouth, but onto its legs. Notice this moment.
It collects the pollen on its legs.
I'm talking about nectar now. What is pollen? Who's objecting over there? Who's objecting? Where is this person? It's like a voice from the sky or something. Where are you? Please stand up, otherwise who am I supposed to talk to? Who am I talking to? With you. Is pollen the same as nectar?
It collects the nectar with its tongue and gathers the pollen on its legs.
I see. So pollen isn't nectar, is it? And what is nectar exactly?
Nectar is the sweet part itself. That's what the bee collects.
It takes it into its mouth. Then what? Does the bee eat it?
No, it brings it.
It brings it, right? And what do you do with that sweet stuff?
We collect it.
You too. Are you a bee too? Good. We want to be bees here. That is why we have gathered here. Thank you for your thoughts. I don't really know anything about that. I'm not a beekeeper, but the idea is simply this. A bee flies to a flower, and there is pollen there. According to the Vedas, this is also a manifestation of love, like nectar, the pollen of a flower. And also it turns out there is this sweet part. Yes, the bee takes it into its mouth and then flies back. What does it do next in the hive? What does it do there in the hive?
It puts it all in the hive.
It puts it all in, gives it away, right?
Gives everything away.
Yes, and so if, for example, the hive is far from the flower, what happens to the bee?
It flies a long way.
Stop, listen carefully. It flies for a long time, and what might happen to it? It might die, right? And just fall down, right? You need to place the hive closer to the flower so that it doesn't perish, because it only wants to serve the nectar, and it flies toward the honey, even at the cost of its own life. And then it brings everything back to the hive, my dears. And when the bee gets hungry, what does it do? So what does the bee do?
It eats the pollen.
It eats pollen. It flies back to the hive because it needs to eat too. It got hungry. It got tired from serving. It eats pollen. And what happens to the bee next?
It feels good, happy.
And it just falls down like this, by the way, because the bee has had its fill of nectar. And then when it has rested, it flies out to serve again. This is how a person should live. According to the Vedas, this is how one should live. But there are flies. Flies also love sweet tastes. The fly also flies toward the nectar. It also flies toward the nectar, but along the way it looks down and sees something there. There's disorder, a mess. And it flies there to the mess, to dig around this mess. It simply must dig around this mess. And it keeps digging around in it, digging around, and then maggots start crawling out of there. And the fly starts living there and all of that. And the flies are constantly dissatisfied with everything. They talk about politics and how everything is bad. And they reek of all that filth. Why do they live like that? Because they simply don't know how to live right. They simply don't know. Not because they are bad, they simply don't know. They simply don't know that one must learn to see the good. So why is the president the way he is? Now I want to tell you the truth, honestly, the truth.
Because we are the way we are.
Yes, the president carries out the will of our fate. If we were better people, the president would be better too. That is how this world works. We get what we deserve. No more, no less. That's it. So is it good or bad to live in your country?
Of course it is good.
Of course, because we only want nectar. All 600 people sitting here in the hall should gather a demonstration and march to the president's palace with placards. And we will shout and chant, "We want to love everyone, including the president. We want to love everyone." We will chant slogans. Will anyone try to stop us? No, everyone will be in ecstasy. Everyone will be happy. The police will say, "Please, please stay, keep going." Everyone wants nectar. No one wants to lose it. Everyone wants nectar. Everyone wants the sweet taste, both good people and bad people. Everyone wants the sweet taste. Some people's faces have twisted in displeasure. They think we're not going to go out of our way for this jerk. But bees don't decide who is a bad person and who is not. How do they treat a bad person? A bee is flying along and a bad person comes along its way. How does it treat this person? The bee thinks it's not nectar. It simply flies around and that's it. The bee treats this person just fine. It understands that this is not nectar and simply flies on toward the nectar, and that's all. It doesn't think about this person. It thinks, I want nectar, I want to serve, I want nectar. When a bad person comes along the way, it flies around them. This is not nectar, but I want nectar. That's it. No fixation whatsoever. Now let me tell you a story about one holy person. He deeply desired to serve God. His service consisted of picking nectar from flowers and bringing it to the temple, decorating the altar with flowers. His entire life consisted of this. He constantly thought about these flowers, about love. And you might say, what a useless life. He was doing something foolish. One needs to build houses, dig, chop wood. And he simply carried flowers to the temple. Let me tell you one thing. You know, when a person dedicates their life to love, such a powerful force emanates from them that everyone around becomes better off. Everyone becomes better off. Everyone can accomplish all their tasks, and all the people around them are filled with happiness. Do you know how Russia came to be? I think Ukraine came into being in exactly the same way. Do you know how Russia was built? Let me tell you now. There was a great holy person named Sergius of Radonezh. He simply began living in the forest. Since he was a holy person, many other people soon began to settle around him. First the monks, and then ordinary people built their homes. And Sergius of Radonezh had around 200 disciples. All these 200 disciples went to the forest in different places and began to live there in solitude. And around all of them, first small settlements grew up, and then cities. And at the heart of each city stands a temple. This is called the Golden Ring of Russia. The Golden Ring, the most golden of all. You see, one holy person is enough to make everyone around them happy. Therefore, the idea that people who simply serve God are idlers is a foolish idea, because those who serve the nectar become the most valuable people on this earth. They deserve the most respect because they bring good fortune from the heart. The chronicles describe that people came from afar just to look at the face of the Saint Seraphim of Sarov. He stood on a stone, not speaking, constantly thinking about God, and lived in austerity, constant austerity. He ate only goutweed once a day, just a simple herb. Do you know what goutweed is? It's impossible to eat. He ate only goutweed. When people looked at his face, they thought, what grace. Their lives changed completely. That's it. And so this holy person constantly carried flowers, and there were rumors about him that happiness flourished all around him. And the king of that area did not like this, thinking, he is probably not a holy person. Just some rumors. Now we will put him to the test. What is the best way to test a holy monk? Send a woman. He found a very beautiful woman. She was very loyal to the king. She was very beautiful and loyal to the king. And he asked her, do you want to serve me? She said, yes, I do. You need to be undressed right there in that place. You must seduce this man. This is your service to me. I want to prove that he is a fraud. She said, as you wish, my lord. And so, in that place, among the flowers, she undressed and sat there among the flowers, unclothed. A beautiful woman, absolutely naked, beautiful. And look at how he behaved. His state of mind is described in the scriptures. A flower for the Lord, a beautiful flower for the Lord, a beautiful flower for the Lord. And this is not a flower. Why is that? Because the energy that emanates from a beautiful woman is irresistible. This is an enormous force. But for one who dwells in the nectar of service to God, this nectar is 1,000 times stronger than our desire to enjoy each other's bodies. 1,000 times stronger. When a person lives in such a state, good fortune follows them on its own. Why? Because this life is blessed. The only thing we lack in this life is love. And when a person serves the source of love, God wants them to live. He grants good fortune to such a person in life and helps them. How does God help? Through people, through the hearts of people. They take care of such a person. The only duty of such a person is to continue serving God and to share their love with everyone. So let's look at the incorrect state of self-esteem, the incorrect attitude toward oneself. What does it involve? It involves the consciousness of a fly. What does it mean to have the consciousness of a fly? My life is bad, I've been unlucky, the people close to me don't understand me, and so on. My life is bad. Is that true? In this case, is it true or not? Is that true? Those who think it's true, raise your hand. I agree with you, life is bad. My close one doesn't love me. Is this true or not? True. Next. They treat me cruelly. Is this true or not? True. And what is not true? Let's be honest. It's all true. My life is bad and hard. Is that true? True. I'm talking about this state, right? True. All of it is true. But according to the Vedas, such a person is doomed to failure in life. A person has fallen into a trap from which only knowledge can free them. One is trapped in a loop that is destroying one's life and will continue to destroy it until one asks fate, something is wrong with the way I am living my life. Something is not right. My life keeps getting worse and worse, worse and worse. What should I do? You need to ask your heart this question. What should I do? I want to live righteously. I want to live righteously. Not, I want to enjoy myself. I want happiness. You shouldn't say that. Do not ask for that. I want happiness. Why am I unhappy? I want happiness. You don't need to say that. This is also a trap. This is also a trap. I want a nice apartment, but mine is bad. This is a trap. There is no need to say any of that. No need to ask for anything for yourself except for one thing. Please, I want to know how to live the right way. I want to know how to live the right way, because all these conditions in which I live must be entrusted to God. Let Him take care of me. That is His job. It is not I who takes care of myself. What is my work? To fly toward the nectar and bring it to people. I have no other work in this life. And God Himself decides how to take care of me. What does this mean? That for a person who lives rightly, everything comes on its own. When the time came, fate brought a good husband. When the time came, it gave a good wife. When the time came, a good job. When the time came, good friends. When the time came, a good job, good health. This is normal. This is how one should live, you see? Now look, everything is bad. The situation is bad. Who is in this situation right now? Raise your hand. You are in such a situation. Let's talk then. Have a conversation. Do you know what needs to be done? You need to accept all of this. Just say, it's okay, this is what I'm meant to have. Don't be afraid of this. It doesn't mean that it will last forever. Simply accept it because that is what is meant to be. Agree, become a person who says yes. There are two types of people. There are people who say no, who always tell fate that they deserve more. And there are people who say, yes, this is what I'm meant to have. Become a yes person. For this, prayer is needed. First, we build a relationship with God and pray to accept our fate. Say to yourself, yes, this is the life I am meant to have. That is the first thing you need to do. And do you know what the second thing you need to do is? You need to tell yourself, I don't need this kind of life. I don't need this kind of life. I simply want to serve. I simply want to live for the nectar, to share it with others and to seek it. I want to serve the sun. I do not want to live in this cage where my fate torments me. I do not want to live like this. Because I am an eternal being. I am not meant, not destined for this country, for this world. I am destined for something higher, something bright. I am an eternal soul. I want to serve the truth right now. You see, despite the fact that everything is bad, what do you start doing? Not looking for work, not looking for a wife, not looking for ways to somehow survive. And you dedicate the maximum amount of time during the day to serving the holy person in your heart. You think, I want to serve you, please engage me in service. There, repeat a prayer, for example, the names of God, or simply repeat, I wish happiness to all. If you have no faith, no prayers. That is good too. I wish happiness to all. Repeat this and think of a holy person, bow to them. This does not mean that we are not looking for work. We look for work, try to find a job, try to find a wife, try to do what it takes to survive. But we don't attach great importance to it. The most important thing throughout the day is one's inner life, that which then fills you with strength. Now imagine this situation. You are looking for a job and believe that this is the most important thing in life. Yes, let's say you come to an employer. Is there an employer here? You are the employer, right? I come to you for a job, let's act out a scene. And for me, my main goal in life is to find a job. What's your specialty?
Knitting.
I'm a girl, I'll be knitting, that's it. You know, I just love knitting so much. You know, I really like your team. I will bring so much value to this team.
Tell me, what is most important to you? Do you want to earn money, or do you want to be of service?
Of course, I want to be of service. This is the most important thing for me. Will you hire me or not? Will you take me on? Please hire me. I am a good person.
Everyone says I'm a good person.
And I'm the best of all. Will you take me?
We'll take you on a trial basis. I'm afraid of you.
You're afraid of me? Do you know why she is afraid of me? Because I am very attached to this job. More than anything in the world, I want to work to find this job. I want this more than anything in the world. And this is frightening because a person has the wrong life, the wrong purpose in life, and fate keeps pushing them away from there. Now, ladies, let's look at the second option. Well, I won't act out the second scenario right now. I have a wife, so I won't be playing that role. But what is the idea? Now imagine, ladies, that someone approaches you, and he's like, I love you so much. I cannot live without you. Marry me. Would you agree or not?
No.
Why? But he loves you so much. You wanted him to love you intensely.
Too much.
Too much. There's no such thing as too much. If you love strongly, then go all the way. He's ready to kiss the sand you walked upon. Will you marry him or not? He worships you, the man worships you, he is ready to kiss the sand. Will you marry him or not? Who would say yes? Raise your hand. Not even one? The old lady raised her hand. She's about to run away from here. Do you understand what I'm talking about? When a person sets the wrong goal in life and work becomes their main goal, they lose themselves. A person loses themselves. Their sense of self-esteem is destroyed. Such a person becomes a nobody. In the end, everyone looks down on them. Everyone looks down on them. Nobody wants to respect a person like that. What kind of man does a girl marry? The one who loves, but he loves calmly, with dignity. So in reality, he loves someone else more. He loves himself, yes, that's right. And that is a trap. And yet, these are exactly the kind of men that girls are attracted to. But above such a man stands another who loves God. This is a developed personality, but there are very few such people. You need to become the same kind of person yourself in order to get such a husband. He loves you very much, but this love doesn't blow his mind. How does he love? He loves without losing himself. His sense of self-worth is preserved through this love. Why? Because he loses himself in loving someone else. He loves God losing himself. Because we must love someone by losing ourselves. We must give ourselves to someone. We must have a higher purpose in life, a higher one. Not just a goal, but the highest goal. And then a person's life blossoms. They become like a beautiful, magnificent flower. Such a flower becomes needed by everyone. Do you understand now how to treat yourself correctly or incorrectly? This kind of meditation, I'm good, is incorrect thinking. It is incorrect, my dears. You cannot do that. And if others tell us you are a good person, what should we do? You should say, I know nothing about this, nothing at all. I actually want to serve. I don't know whether I'm good or bad. I'm not interested in that. I want to serve. The moment someone calls you good, you melt. This praise goes to your head.
The main thing is not to get carried away.
Exactly. Absolutely right. And this is only possible if you have a mentor, because they will help you so that you don't get carried away with yourself.
That's pride, isn't it?
Yes, pride is the greatest enemy of a person. Pride is the very first manifestation of selfishness, of the false ego. You know, there was an interesting case in my life. My mentor, my spiritual teacher, told me to give lectures to people. He looked at me and said, this is the main thing you must do, give lectures to people. Because that is what the Lord wants, for you to live for Him. Once I came to visit my mentor and he asked, how are your lectures going? Successfully. Many people come to the lectures. And he looked at me like that. There were several other students there, and he began talking with another student for a very long time. And there I sat, having received no answer whatsoever. He looked at me, simply turned away, and continued with the other students. It doesn't mean that he acted without love. He loves me, but he did not continue the conversation with me. I walked out thinking something's wrong. I said something wrong. Then the next day I came to him and said, my spiritual teacher, you know, I don't know how my lectures are going. I simply want to serve you, and that is all. And he said to me, my dear, everything is fine. Don't worry. Keep serving and never be proud of yourself. You see what I'm talking about? Pride lives within us. It is an enormous force. If we evaluate our own actions ourselves, pride immediately sets in. It destroys one's life. I once had a meeting with an interesting person. He heads a large medical university. I won't say where or who. I'm simply giving an example. I have nothing against this person. I'm simply giving an example. You see? I want to focus on the positive. I don't want to dwell on his shortcomings. But right now I'm explaining to you why that's wrong. So he's the rector of the university. And our meeting with him lasted only 15 minutes. 15 minutes. For all 15 minutes, he told me how many academicians had risen through the ranks at his university under his leadership, how many doctors of science, how many scholars he had cultivated, and how many scientific discoveries had been made under his guidance. He was telling me all this. I sat there nodding my head the whole time. I barely said a single word to him. And do you know how the conversation ended? When our time was up, he looked at me and said, "Thank you, it was a great pleasure talking with you. We had such a wonderful conversation. It seems to me that you are a good person." Can you imagine how terrible, how terrible? A person dedicated his entire life to science, his entire life. He made so many brilliant, remarkable discoveries. He had raised so many brilliant, remarkable people. But there was one thing he could not overcome. Pride took hold of his consciousness, and as a result, he lost himself in that pride. He lost who he was. And this means that he lost everything he had, because pride destroys everything. At the end of his life, Einstein said, "I realized that this world is practically unknown to me. I realized that I know practically nothing about this world." These were his words before he passed away. This means that a true scientist, you see, this means that the first and most important thing he discovered within himself was the purity of heart, which manifests only through humility. When a person does not consider himself a doer, but rather a servant, that is the most powerful position in life. Let's take great people as an example. There was a victorious Russian commander, and he had an army of 50,000. He defeated the Turkish army of 500,000. Can an army of 50,000 defeat an enemy of 500,000? No? Let's make it smaller. 5 people against 50. Can they fight? Impossible. Impossible. It's the same as 50,000 against 500. It's impossible to fight. Do you know what this commander was like? He knew his soldiers by name. He embraced them every day. He told them, "I am your servant." He cared for them as if they were his own sons. He loved them endlessly. They loved him endlessly for this and were ready to give their lives for him. This is what a true relationship between a senior and a junior looked like. As a result, the Turks had no chance, absolutely no chance of defeating him. You see, it's the same thing, the exact same situation. Alexander the Great. He had an army of 40,000. The army of King Darius numbered 300,000. That's not comparable. Darius had no chance whatsoever because Alexander the Great was not the man who was portrayed in that recent Hollywood film. Have you seen the Hollywood film about Alexander the Great? Who watched it? Yes, that one. They portrayed him as a person with the wrong sexual orientation.
Sappy person.
What?
Sappy person.
Such a sappy one. Alexander the Great was not like that. When I watched that film, I started searching through historical chronicles and found that he was a tall, very courageous and strong man. He slept on the ground, constantly served his soldiers, did not allow them to loot anyone, fulfilled his duty before them, and treated everyone very honestly and with love. In that film, it was shown how he killed a wounded soldier to spare him from suffering. This never happened in his life. He always served the wounded, cared for them, and never killed anyone. Alexander the Great was a big-hearted man, a very brave, decisive warrior with deep and noble qualities. That is why he defeated everyone in his path. No one could defeat him. The soldiers loved him more than their own lives. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I am now talking about who has the right to be a senior. A person can only be a senior if they take care of everyone else. If a commander cares for his soldiers in this way, they love him endlessly because he is a servant to all. They go into battle for him. A person can be both a senior and a junior only if they are in the mindset of a servant. There is no other mindset that leads to victory in this life. This is the only correct way for self-esteem to function here. There is no other way. So let us discuss the types of incorrect attitudes toward oneself. All types of incorrect attitudes toward oneself mean, I am good, you are bad. That's all. I am right, you are wrong. Even if a person is wrong, what should be done? The first step is to distance yourself from this person, because wrong relationships cannot be cultivated. If a person behaves badly and is offensive, you need to distance yourself from them. Then one must pray to God so that the strength to cope with this fate may appear, and say to oneself, this is the life that has been given to me. The next step is to mentally wish this person happiness and to establish the right kind of relationship in your heart, a pure relationship. And what needs to be done next? You need to continue fulfilling your duties toward this person, but not get close to them until they change their behavior. And this change in behavior will consist of 3 stages. The first stage, they will get angry and try to break your will. The second stage, they will try to ingratiate themselves and attempt to smooth things over through cunning. And the third stage, they will initiate a dialogue, an honest dialogue, about what is happening. We are talking about the right attitude toward relatives. That is what we are discussing now. Our next topic. It is very important to understand that proper relationships with family members can only be built during calm conversations. The highest expression of love for one's relatives is not that we behave affectionately with them, make eyes at them, or use our body to please them. No, the highest expression of love for one's relatives lies in our ability to discuss painful topics without emotional outbursts for a woman and without pressure for a man. To speak with each other very delicately and calmly about what is happening. This is the highest expression of love. People communicate, and they have no desire to hurt each other, even though sometimes one gets hurt during this conversation. What overcomes the inner pain? A relationship with God. When a person has a strong connection with God, they have a lot of happiness within, and they can endure the pain that comes from a loved one. A person who does not serve God is impoverished. They have no capacity to endure, and therefore they cannot build such relationships. What does a heartfelt conversation mean? That is what I just talked about. What makes a relationship last? When can people live together for a long time? When they are able to have heartfelt conversations. Is that clear?
It doesn't always work out with relatives. It works with other people.
You say it works with other people, but not with relatives. We gather in some spiritual groups, and when we are there, we behave like saints. Spiritual groups, spiritual communication, with the swans, so to speak. With swans, we gather with swans. Spiritual communication, pure conversation. Such dignified people they are. We come home and start yelling at everyone. A person's true nature is revealed only through close relationships. Your wife will tell you who you really are. That's what my wife tells me. When she sees that I feel a little proud, she comes up to me and says, listen, there's one thing I want to tell you. Remember in such and such lecture, at such and such minute, you said, who you are, your wife will tell you. Do you remember? I say, I remember. She says, well, good. That's right, that's right. That is how a wife should behave. That's good.
How should one deal with adult children?
You know, I'll tell you one thing. You should understand one thing. Listen to me carefully now. This is a very important point. There are only 2 types of communication between people. 2 types of communication. One type of communication is respectful. This is when a person wants to listen to you. And the other type is disrespectful, when a person does not want to listen to you. And now listen to me, I'm about to say something important. If a person does not want to listen to you, whether you consider them a relative or even your other half in life or the closest person in your life, you have no relationship with this person, no relationship at all. On the surface there is a relationship, but on the inside there is none. And that means there is no point in trying to talk to them. You simply talk to them as you can. This is called a formal conversation. Let's say you have a son with whom you have no relationship. Talk to him in a formal conversation, because you will not be able to help him. Now the question arises, why do you still want to talk to him in a different manner? There are 2 reasons. The first and main reason is that you want to enjoy him for your own pleasure. How does a mother use her son for pleasure? She enjoys his fate. How does a mother enjoy her son? When everything in his life is going well, she enjoys it. When things in his life go wrong, she suffers. That's it. The first reason why you want to help him is your own selfishness. And the second reason why you want to help him when he doesn't want to talk to you is simply not knowing that this is not the right thing to do. If a person doesn't want to hear you, that's it. You leave them alone. Even if they are close to you, even if they are dear to you. It is hard to leave such a person alone, but it is the only path that leads to victory. Why? Because when you leave them alone, that is love. This is already selflessness toward them. According to the Vedas, the best method of upbringing is described as follows. How a bird helps its chicks. What does the chick do? It climbs out of the nest. And what happens next? It crashes and dies. What does the bird do? Its mother simply nudges it back just like that, and that's it. Does the bird squawk at its chick the whole time? You little rascal, have you lost your mind? I'll sort you out right now. Go stand in the corner. Does it do something like that or not? The bird simply nudges the chick back with its wing. The chick tumbles back into the nest and is climbing out again. Well, again, its mother nudges it with the wing. And so the bird sits there the whole time and nudges its chicks again and again and again and again. This is called love. Now, when a kitten starts climbing somewhere it shouldn't, what does the cat do? She grabs the kitten by the scruff of the neck with her teeth and carries it where it needs to go. So with a child who runs into the road, you need to take them by the hand and simply lead them where they need to go. Why? Because a child is simply unreasonable. Simply unreasonable. That's it. How does love manifest itself? Leave them alone. Now you will ask, but how does one raise children? How can you make a child start understanding what is right? And this is already a very lengthy process of building a relationship, one that moves from a lack of love toward love. And relationships are built right here. You need to sit before a holy person, pray to them, and then wish your child well, so that everything in their life goes well. Give them your blessings and establish a pure relationship with them through your heart. Even though in your heart you may feel resentment and disappointment over their foolishness, thinking, what a fool, what can I do with them? There is nothing to be done. You must give them the power of love, because knowledge comes to a person only through love. The more love you give them through prayer, the more knowledge they will have. The more love, the more knowledge, the more love, the more knowledge. Then comes the next stage. And then a thread appears between you. A thread will form between you. A thread of connection forms in a relationship of love. A little stream of love begins to flow, and the child comes up to you and says, Mom, what is it that you're always listening to? Your child never asked about it before, and now they came. Why? Because the relationship has begun. A river began to flow, a small stream began to flow in the relationship, and you immediately turn to your child and give them all the knowledge you have. Right? Or not?
No.
And what would you say?
Listen for yourself.
Listen for yourself. Yes, yes. Listen for yourself, my dear. I don't want to impose anything on you. If you want to find out, listen for yourself. Or, I'm listening to profound knowledge, but don't say too much, just a little, because a person is not ready to hear a lot. The stream is still small, little by little, little by little. This is called upbringing. When there are close relationships and when there are none, what constitutes proper upbringing? Two things. The first thing is that parents' correct behavior, guided by their conscience, shapes children's correct behavior because children copy it. There is one American scientist, one great American scientist. Do you know what his last name is? A psychologist. His last name is Bandura. Bandura is an American scientist. He conducted serious research in psychology, and he worked with children. And he would show children a certain doll, an interesting one, that would do one thing but say something completely different. And the children copied not the words of this doll, but the behavior, only the behavior. Not a single child responded to words. So what actually remained with the children after this experiment? Only behavior, nothing more. He came to the conclusion that children never respond to words. They only respond to how a person behaves in life. Is it clear? So the first thing parents must do is live honestly alongside their children. And the second thing they must do is establish a relationship of love with them in their hearts, forgive them, ask for forgiveness, and keep building that relationship. Restore the relationship of love until the child comes to you and says, Mom, how do I do this the right way? That means the little stream has started to flow. And during this time, you should gently say, Son, the right way is like this. Does that mean he will do it correctly right away? No? Now the question is, should you punish? It is absolutely necessary. Absolutely. But how? With a calm heart. Put him in the corner and go do your workout.
And girls too?
Yes, you can make a girl stand in the corner. But don't hit her. You can put her in the corner. A boy can be spanked on the bottom.
And what if the father starts spanking a girl?
That's wrong. She will not grow up to be a reasonable person in that case.
What if it's a sister or a mother?
The same thing. We send love and don't interfere until a relationship is established. And perhaps it will never be established at all. Send love first in your heart and then through caring. Give gifts, take care of the person, do something good for them. If one has no desire for a relationship, it means your karma is too heavy, insurmountable. Then communicate less. There's no way. You see, we don't know whether we will be able to help a person or not. We are not gods. That is how we must think of ourselves. I can help those whom I'm able to help. So if a relationship is established between us, it means that the Lord wants me to help. I help. How can I help? Only if a person listens. Now, how should we behave? Always listen, always listen. People say things to us and we need to listen. If you feel that just malice comes from a person, you can just close your ears and that's it. That's not nectar, is it? We skip it and move on. If a person speaks with love, we continue to listen. No conclusions. Enemy, friend, there's no need to deliberate. It's simply either nectar or not nectar, that's all. We want to help, but there may be no way to help because there is no relationship. You see, either there is a relationship and respect, or we simply don't play these games, and that's it. Either it's a close person or a distant one. Now, a question. You will say, it's not working, Dr. Torsunov. I really want to tell them the whole truth. That's your problem. Then you'll get hit back first thing in the morning.
But what if we look at the situation from the other side? Should children go to their parents with their problems, asking how to live the right way?
Of course, yes. A child should come and ask what is right.
Some parents worry about what's going wrong with their child. Simply put, does it make sense to burden others with your problems?
Of course, the point is not to burden someone, but simply to state the problem. That is not called burdening someone.
And the parents will worry.
No. Not to burden someone with problems, but to share them. Look, there are two options. You come to your mom, start crying and say, Mom, I feel so bad. I didn't get into college. And what will mom do at this time? She'll start to worry and cry with you. Now the second option, you approach your mom very humbly, calmly saying, Mom, I wasn't able to get into college. Please tell me, what should I do now? And listen carefully. Because through listening with faith, knowledge enters the heart and gives one the ability to act. But even better than going to your mother is to go to a person who has the power to influence your fate. Come to a mentor and humbly speak about your problem without emotions, simply and humbly ask what to do. They will tell you, and then you need to do it. But you don't want to, do you? I only want to do what I want to do, what I tell myself, right? That already means madness. What do we tell ourselves? Only what fate tells us. Now let me tell you a joke on this topic. A cowboy was captured by Indians. They tied him to a tree, and then they started sharpening their knives. He thinks, well, this is the end. And the voice of conscience tells him, no, it's not the end. What should I do? The voice of conscience says, call that one over there, the one with the biggest feathers. He called out. The voice says, spit in his face. He spat. The voice says, now it's the end. This is not a simple joke. It points to the way we live. How do we live? I want to cheat on my husband. I want to cheat on my husband. I can't help but cheat. She cheated. Well, now it's the end. Makes sense, right? What's the idea? We often know that we shouldn't do something, yet we do it anyway. That is the problem. This means that knowledge alone is not enough. And for it to be sufficient, one must listen to one's elders with faith, so that it penetrates deeper, so that when early in the morning, when you don't want to get up, the knowledge prevails and you get up from your bed. You see, one must listen with faith, and listening with faith is the most important part of a person's life. The most important thing in life is to learn to listen to lectures often. I constantly live with headphones on. I listen to the voice of my spiritual teacher, his instructions. And during these listening sessions, strength comes from within, giving me the ability to live righteously. This strength always comes from the outside. You say, I have no strength to live righteously. I have none. Nobody does. But if the soul turns toward the sun, it becomes filled with strength. You must turn toward the sun through your ears, because the main element of our consciousness is intelligence. According to the Vedas, intelligence wins over bad fate. Intelligence is the force that is stronger than the mind. We talked about the mind yesterday, didn't we? Intelligence is stronger than the mind, and intelligence gains its power only through sound. Intelligence is a tool for receiving knowledge about what happiness is, and the connection with the object of happiness is called faith. The movement toward this object of happiness is called purposefulness, and the desire to move toward the object is called determination. A person who moves toward the object of their goal is called intelligent, while one who does not move toward it is called unintelligent. And those who choose the wrong goals in life are also considered unwise. And so intelligence wins over bad fate. And this is only possible if the intelligence has a taste for the goal, because one must choose the right goal for oneself. Our fate chooses its own goals. Do you know about this? Fate itself chooses the goals. A child is born, and the woman thinks, how can I not consider this child the highest purpose of my life? This child is so wonderful. Fate itself chooses the goal of life. A man got married and thinks, what a beautiful wife I have. How can I not make her the goal of my life? She also likes being chosen as the purpose of his life. But when a person listens, when one hears the voice of a holy person, a prayer or guidance, a lecture, then in that person's heart a sense of the right purpose is born. This does not mean that such a person stops loving his wife. No, love for one's wife takes its rightful place in this case, you see. It becomes the kind that brings happiness. Love for the Supreme comes first, love for relatives comes second, and a balance is achieved. A person does not lose themselves in relationships with their relatives, you see. A very valuable balance in relationships emerges. What is the result? When a person strives toward the right goal, their intelligence is filled with knowledge, strength, and love. A person begins to feel eternity, begins to feel love, to feel knowledge. As a result, one becomes strong, powerful, overcomes one's fate, and gains the strength to work on one's character. Listen to me carefully, my dears. We conducted a scientific study. A woman with a doctorate in medical sciences helped me. She also works in the same field as I do, public health. And she helped me compile the correct statistics. We conducted the study over 2 years and examined 826 people who attended the lectures. We asked many questions. The questionnaire was enormous. People filled in the questionnaire for 20 minutes. There were about 50 questions. We statistically processed these responses, and it turned out that people, simply by listening to the lectures, doing nothing else, just listening to the lectures, 85% of people showed improvement. 65% of people improved their family relationships. 68% changed their diet. Of those people who drank, half quit drinking entirely. And of those who didn't quit, all of them reduced their alcohol consumption. Except for the 3% who, statistically speaking, had simply come for the first time. Of those who smoked, half quit smoking entirely. When we presented this data to the scientific community, they were astonished, because according to modern methods, getting a person to give up alcohol completely requires enormous effort. But no effort was needed in this case. They simply listened to the lectures, and that was it. You see, no treatment was administered to the people who drank. They simply listened to the lectures.
Is a person's desire taken into account?
Your desire is the main goal of your life, the most important thing in your life. This is the main thing in your life. No one has the right to infringe upon your desire. For example, if you say, I don't care about what you're saying, that is your desire. No one can be against that. But if a person wants to listen with faith, that is a different desire. And so I'm talking about those people who want to listen, you see? Because those people who want to listen, their fate changes as a result. But there is one condition. The person who speaks must also live by what they preach. Just one condition. It is called the transmission of knowledge. The intelligence of the person who speaks must also be working along the same lines as what the person is saying. Then the process will be effective. That's it, the only condition. So what am I talking about right now? That listening with faith is the main practice that changes one's fate. This may seem strange to you, but it is so. And the second practice that makes a person the master of their own fate is when a person themselves pronounces the victorious sound. Do you know what the victorious sound is? The sound that brings you closer to the sun. Do you know what this sound is that brings you closer to the sun? There is powerful sound that brings one closer to the sun. This sound is called the name of God. You must call out the name of the one you are going toward. For example, if a child is in the forest and has gotten lost, how can they find their mother? They need to call out their mother. How to call out?
Loudly.
No, not loudly. How should you call out? Try to understand. You are in the forest, you are lost. Mother is far away. How should you call out? With faith? You must call out with longing, with faith. Mom, will she hear? No, she will feel it and will come to you. And you will find her. This is how a person must move toward the sun. One must approach God in the same way. There was an incident in my life. Let me share a little about myself because it is a wonderful thing when we open our hearts to each other. I had an unhappy childhood. My father was always drinking and beating my mother. I lived in these conditions, absolutely terrible, constant fights, constant arguments. I constantly watched and listened to all of this, and it was simply terrifying how hard life was. I lived in atheistic times. I didn't know that God existed. I didn't know that there was a spiritual life. And there was this interesting event in my life when I was about 12 years old, when I was in complete despair, in an absolutely terrible state regarding my life. I lived in a city that was still under construction, and behind our house there was a large field, all covered in snow, and there was a forest beyond it. I walked out into that field, that open field. In the evening, imagine the stars were shining. The moon was shining, it was cold. I walked through the snow, out into the field, going deeper and deeper and deeper, because I didn't know what to do with my life. I simply understood that there was no way out. But I walked and walked for some time, and I began to ask, I want to know how to live. I want to know how to live the right way. I want to know how to live the right way. I began to call out. And an amazing thing happened. Unexpectedly, I raised my hands to the sky and spoke loudly, in a thunderous voice, so loud, I was just a small child. I hadn't expected that I could shout like that. I shouted across the entire forest, I will suffer and endure for as long as it is meant to be. But at the age of 28, I will find my knowledge, which will help me find happiness in life. I shouted this across the entire field. And at the age of 28, I found my faith. That is how it happened in my life. A person can find knowledge if they call out for it. One can find it, but one must call out. You see, a person should not live in silence. One should not just live thinking things are bad, everything is bad. Nothing works out. Dr. Torsunov, when will I get married? And the answer would be never. Why? Because that is not a way to live. A person should not be so focused on themselves. One should have a desire to care for everyone. You may think nothing works out, but that's okay. You should have the desire to care and to help. Where does one find the strength? We should bow to a holy person and draw strength from them. Don't know how to do it? I will explain this to you now. There is this little book here. Who has read it? Do you agree that it would be very appropriate if I introduced it now? A remarkable book. It was written by a very elevated person. He still lives on earth. This person's name is Radhanath Swami. Yes, his spiritual name is Radhanath Swami. And this book is called Journey Home. The entire book describes only one thing, how one must seek God. This person journeyed through different faiths, through different denominations. He walked his path searching for his personal relationship with God. How to seek a relationship with this truth, with this Son, so that I could pray to Him, so that I could build a relationship with Him. What is my faith? It doesn't mean that everyone has the same faith. No, everyone's is different. But what exactly is my faith? How does one search for it? It's written right here, right here.
Earlier you mentioned freedom.
Freedom?
Is it consciously chosen? What does freedom look like?
Do you know what our freedom consists of? Just two things, either go to God or not go to Him.
And how do we choose this?
It's our choice.
You say that fate chooses this.
No, fate chooses how to make us suffer because we commit actions and will be held accountable for them. There is no choice here. Whether we will suffer or not, there is absolutely no choice in this matter. The choice lies in something else, whether to go toward the light or not. As one song says, leave behind your worries, your falls, and your rises. Stop thinking about work, about relationships. Leave behind your worries, your falls, and your rises. Understand that this life is not a child's game. And if a friend is in trouble, don't rely on a miracle. Hurry to him. Always walk the path of goodness. You see, we are talking about freedom of choice right now. What do we choose? We either choose comfort, simply a lazy life, or we choose prayer, or we choose theft, or we choose restraint, or we choose insult or forgiveness. We always have a choice. We have no restrictions, but we do not choose whether or not punishment will come our way. We do not choose life or death, illness or the absence of illness. We don't choose. Fate chooses that for us on its own. We only choose the path we will walk. But we do not choose the consequences. The results do not depend on us. Only the action itself, the deed itself, depends on us. Is that clear? A person cannot choose whether to be sick or not. Some people say, just don't get sick. It won't work. Any other questions? I'm listening.
If you doubt, it means you don't believe. That means that when you believe, you do so unconditionally.
No, that's a good question. If you have doubts, does that mean you don't believe? If you believe, then you must follow without question. No, don't think that way under any circumstances. That's incorrect. Doubt means everything is fine. A person must listen with faith. This does not mean that they are blind. Listening with faith means learning. When you listen with faith, you are learning. Why do you doubt? Because you have no experience. Let me give you an example about experience. I have a relative who suffers from a severe mental illness, and I always try to help her somehow. Several times she attempted to take her own life while in the grip of this illness. Now listen to my experience, which gave me faith in prayer. I already believed that prayer works. But faith can vary in strength. Now listen carefully. I called her at home one day. Her daughter picked up the phone. I said, "How is Mom feeling?" She said, "Mom is still asleep. It's early morning." Imagine, I called early in the morning not knowing why. I prayed and felt that I needed to call urgently. It was early morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning. She said, "Mom is still sleeping. We're asleep at this hour." "I'm still asleep too." I said, "Well, go check on what Mom is doing." She said, "She's sleeping?" I said, "Go check on her." She went to the next room. She said, "The room won't open." I said, "Do you have locks?" She said, "No." I said, "Then push it." She started pushing, and the room was blocked by an armchair. When she opened the door, she saw that her mother was standing on the ledge of the 7th floor on the outside. Do you know what a ledge is? It's a slippery little iron thing. It's practically impossible to stand on it, and you can only hold on to the very edges of the window frames, just like this. Quite a situation, isn't it? The girl was crying and said, "Mom is standing over there," completely in shock. What happened next? I said, "Don't be afraid, don't go near her, don't do anything else, don't move. Just quietly put the phone down and don't interfere with the situation. I'll call you back myself in a little while." I hung up the phone, sat down. I immediately set myself up for connection with my spiritual teacher. I began to pray. I brought this woman to mind and gradually began to feel her presence. Through prayer, I began to sense how she was standing there. I began to see how the spirit was pulling her down. There is such a subtle form of life, evil spirits. It was pulling her down by the hair, and she was in a frenzy simply because the light in her soul wanted her to stay alive. She was holding on to those things. And through prayer, I began to gradually drive out the spirit from her consciousness gradually, because the spirit possesses power. Through prayer, with the help of the power of a holy person, I kept driving it out, driving it out. At some point I felt I had won. But can you imagine, a woman is standing on the ledge. Even though the spirit is gone, that doesn't mean she can't fall on her own. But I felt victory, a true victory. I felt that there was no danger. This happened after 20 minutes of prayer. Imagine all of this lasted 20 minutes. I called the girl and she said, "You know, a miracle happened." Suddenly some man appeared right there. A man appeared right there on the 7th floor from the outside, carefully took hold of her and brought her to safety. The girl continued, and then I ran over and saw that there was a fire truck and the ladder began to lower carefully. They then brought her home. You see what prayer is, don't you? This is a real event that happened in my life. After this happened, I sat down, and right here, inside in my heart, faith in the holy name of God appeared. I felt that this power works. You see, and doubts are normal. But if you keep practicing, God will give you knowledge when time comes. But doubts are a good thing. You don't need to be a fanatic. You shouldn't just do things you don't understand. Always start by listening carefully, studying, and practicing. Then knowledge comes to the heart. This applies to everything in life. The same applies to relationships. A man and a woman should build their relationship gradually. You shouldn't jump into bed right away like everyone does nowadays. There's a little song about this. It's such a nice little song. We all know it. This song goes, perhaps you are, of course, the best in the world, but you can't understand that right